Welcome back to the channel. My name is Steven. I'm a pharmacist. I own 52 units of real estate and I help coach people to buy their first multifamily deal. So this past week, I was talking to my property manager in Huntsville, Alabama, and I'm trying to buy properties subject to new construction from basically 2020 until 2025. And why am I targeting 2020, 21, 22 is I want something that's newer and I want to assume a loan that's at a good interest rate. During 20, 21, 22, most people have maybe around a 4% interest rate, some at a 3% interest rate. So I told my property manager, if you know anybody that is in a distressed situation or maybe motivated to sell, let me know. And she said that, we manage a property for a guy. He's Indian and he recently moved from America over to India. And because of that move and because of the tax implications, he's motivated to sell. So immediately, I got excited and I started asking about the property. So I said, okay, when did he buy the property? He bought the property in 2020. So what does that mean? Interest rate is probably, 3%. Probably has a 3 handle on the percent, which got me excited. Number two was that it seemed like he was motivated to sell because of this tax situation. I didn't know what the exact tax situation was, but if I can assume a 3% interest rate, I can ask him to do a seller carry second of the difference between what the loan is to the purchase price. So let's just say, for numbers' sake, he wants to sell for $300,000 and the loan is $170K. I would ask for a seller carry of $130K at ideally 1% interest. And then from there, I would can calculate my numbers. So I know what the monthly loan is. So $170K at 3.2% interest, amortized over 30 years. Roughly, you know what the insurance is, you know what the property tax is, you know what the HOA is, property management fees 10%. And from there, you know what the rents are because my current property manager is managing the rents on this property. So rents were around like $1,800, $1,900, which is similar to my property. And this property is about 5 miles away from my current property. So, I knew the area. I liked it. So I was talking to my realtor and she didn't really quite understand taking over loans subject to creative financing. So I just said, hey, could you just connect me, you, and the seller on a 3-way call so that I can talk to the seller directly? Like, I love to talk to the sellers directly in order to build trust, in order to understand the situation, in order to create a win-win situation for all of us. So my goal is I want to buy a property that cash flows day one with little to no money down. So I'm hoping to do 0% down, but I have to cover the closing cost. I might have to pay my realtor a little fee. So very minimal in terms of my expense. But I want to take over a property. I want to get a good interest rate. And I want to be able to cash flow this property. It doesn't have to be crazy cash flow, but as long as it cash flows enough that it breaks even, I'm happy with it because I want to hold on it for 10 years. And if it doubles in value over 10 years, I could sell half to pay off the other half. So like my goal is maybe I can get 10 of these properties, assume the loan subject to, assume a rate that's 3 to 4% interest. It cash flows day one. It cash flows, I put low money down and I could just hold on to this property long term and hopefully appreciate over time. And if I have 10 of them, I could sell 5 and use that 5 to either 1031 exchange up or use that 5 to pay off the other 5. And now I own 5 free and clear. So I want to do this right now because it's a good margin. So I think it's a great time to do subject to and seller financing in Huntsville, Alabama, because people who bought a home that's in 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, it's hard for them to sell right now because there's new construction. Like I could literally buy a new construction property in Tony, Alabama, which is near Huntsville, Alabama, great school district, and the the price for new construction is about $280. So why would I pay like $280 for a property that's 5 years old? I don't get builder credits. I don't get the 1-year warranty, and it's just a certain appeal of having a brand new house. So I'm only motivated to take over a used property, if you will, if there's incentive for me. So I talked to the seller, great guy. He's an Indian guy from the Bay Area, actually lives where I grew up in Milpitas. He's in Fremont, And basically, it just seemed like he owned 10 rental properties, but he's looking to sell them all and take that money and move back to India, where he actually wants to become a monk in the Himalayas. So he wants to go on a more spiritual journey, which I totally respect. But I was just really impressed. I assume since he's in the Bay Area, he's in tech, and he lives in Fremont, so he must be doing pretty well for himself. And he scaled to 10 rental properties in North Carolina, Alabama, Florida, so that's pretty up there. And when I talked to him, he said that, well, his situation is when he's in India, whatever money he makes from his rental, it's double taxed. So he's taxed at the US, and then whatever money goes to India, he's taxed again. So it became to the point where it's not worth it for him. So I got excited. He's in pain, right? So he's motivated to sell. So I was really hoping to understand, okay, like, what's your situation? So he said that he basically has 3 years to transfer money from the US over to India. And from there, it's basically tax exempt. But if it's after 3 years, he has to pay a large tax on it. So that he's very motivated to sell. He said he sold 6 properties already in North Carolina, and he has 3 in Huntsville, Alabama, all bought in 2020, low interest rates at 3%. And I was like salivating at this because his monthly loan was about $800 a month. If you include property tax, insurance, HOA, your probably all-in cost is about maybe $1,300, and these rent for $1,900 each. So definitely they're going to cash flow. And I was just like, hey, like, what do you think about me assuming your loan? Because I want to get your great interest rate, and then whatever the difference. So, if a new build is 270, he wants to sell for like 300. Like, I'm overpaying by 30K for an older home, right? It makes no sense, right? If I was a home buyer, if I was an investor, it makes no sense. Like, well, I'd rather just buy a new house as a straight buy, 25% down, get a new build. I get some builder incentives. I have a warranty for a year. So I have a new community. So that's better. But I don't mind overpaying for a property, but it has to be benefit for me. So for me, I want to assume a 3% interest rate loan. I want seller carry second so that I put low money down and I can still have cash flow. In that case, I'm willing to get an older property. So it's a win-win for me, and it's a win-win for him, or so I thought, right? But what I learned was, if he were to do a seller carry note to me, whatever money he makes, he'll still be taxed on that in India. And the problem is, in India, the CD rate is 10%, and I'm only offering 1%. So it's not very enticing for him. And on top of that, he said that he needs the money today so that he can buy a house in the Himalayas. He wants to buy a house for his parents in India and take care of them before he goes on his spiritual journey. So he's a good son and doing the right thing. So once I kind of learned that, I just learned that, well, it's not going to work for him. Like, doing seller financing is not going to work for him because he just wants the money. Like, he doesn't mind me assuming the loan, but he wants to get money in hand so that he could basically avoid the foreign tax in India, because he has 3 years to do it. And then number 2 is he just wants to dump that money into a CD, which grows 10%. And number 3 is he wants that money to go buy a house in India for him and his parents. So, like, he needs the money now for multiple reasons. So once I learned that, basically, in order to make the deal work for him, let's just say I bought this home for like $250 and he has a $170K loan on it, then I would have to put the difference between $250 and $170 to buy this property, which is $80K down. And for me, I don't want to put large amounts of money down. So it's not going to work out for me. I'd rather just buy new construction if I'm putting $80K down. So, I talked to my realtor / property manager, and I was just like, well, it seems like I'm better off just buying new construction. And she agreed, because right now the new construction is priced so well because the builders are just desperate to unload properties because they have a variable interest rate, and they want to make sure that these are sold to hit their goals, to hit their quota goals, their quarterly goals, their yearly goals. So they're very motivated to sell. So it's just further validating that it's a good time to buy new construction. But the downside of new construction, in my mind, is, well, you have to put 25% down at least, or maybe a little bit more if you want to cash flow. So I'm still waiting. So I was really bummed. Like, I had this worked out, had his tax situation not been a thing, had he not needed the money, and it was just purely like a tax issue, and he didn't need the money, I could have took over his loan of 3%, do a seller carry second of 1% interest, still cash flow on the property, get 3 properties immediately. I could have bought all 3, right? And get properties that cash flow, hold it to long term, and eventually sell it and then use that to pay off my other properties. So, but I've only been using the strategy for like a month or two, and it cost me no money. I literally just told my property manager that I want to buy a deal subject to, and I literally brought her a deal that I found on Redfin where I wanted to take over the loan subject to, and basically put 10K down. And then she was like looking at the deal, and that deal didn't work out. I have a separate video talking about it, but that deal didn't work out because the rents were not as good, and then it takes on average 5 months to rent out the property, so it's not worth it. That's maybe more of a homeowner's market versus a renter's market, because if it takes me 5 months to rent out a property and a tenant leaves every year, you're going to be negative cash flow for sure, and the rents weren't even as high as I thought. So decided to move away from that. But this is the power of like creative financing is subject to. So I spent literally no money. Like going on Redfin is absolutely free. I just set filters on Redfin, and I just looked to see how long it's been in market, and I would literally see the number of the agent. I just would text them and be like, hey, this has been in market for 100 days. I'm an investor. I own a property nearby. Bring me up to speed. And then once I talked to them, I said, hey, with the seller, I want to do creative financing. Like I take over the loan and I do seller carry second. And, it cost me no money, right? And then bringing that deal to my property manager cost me no money. And then she ended up bringing me potentially 3 more deals. So had everything worked out, in the positive world, I could have gotten 4 deals subject to, and, they would have cash flowed. At least in my, 3 properties would cash flow. The one that was denied, I wouldn't want to cash flow, but 3 out of the 4 would have cash flowed, and I would have gotten deals of like little to no money down. So this is the power of like creative financing, and it just takes persistence and follow up, right? So like you just have to be consistent, you have to follow up, and you just have to like always be looking, right? And once you put it out there, they'll notice any deals that you can take over subject to. So that's what's nice about networking with property managers, because they have a lot of properties that they manage, so they will eventually bring you deals. And if they bought, there's already tenants in place, which is nice, and it can cash flow day one, and you can put little to no money down the deal. So that's what I'm trying to do. So quite bummed, but it's crazy. Just one deal, I could have gotten 3 properties. Had this worked out for him, I could have assumed this great loan, seller carry second, tenants in place, same property manager, cash flows, and I could hold on to it long term, right? To wait out this whole building, demand and all that. So anyways, quite bummed, but just wanted to share this to show you that creative financing is probably the way to go in 2025 when there's a lot of stress, and probably into 2026, and you have to be consistent and you have to do the work, and eventually all it takes is one yes to get a great deal, right? And then I could have gotten 4 units just like that with little to no effort in my mind. But anyways, if you want one-on-one coaching, check out my link tree down below. From there, you'll see my course, my mentorship, my coaching. And from there, you can send me an email if you want a discount code or you have questions. Also, down there, I have a newsletter where I send out, weekly newsletters, or I try to, giving updates about what I'm doing. So click on that as well. It's down there in the link tree. Otherwise, please like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what questions you have, and hope to see you in the next one. Thank you so much.